Hi guys, it's Dawn. Welcome back to my channel. I never say guys when I talk to you because I think it sounds like so casual, and I always wanted to sound like a little more professional than that. But I'm a Chicago girl and we throw around guys like the Southerners say y'all. It's always like, hey guys, what's up guys? What are you guys doing? We say guys all the time. The other thing is my G's at the end of a word. I had to really train myself to not say doing, thinking, adding the G. And when I was in college, I actually had a professor tell me that in a speech class that I needed to add that G, and I really worked on it, and now it comes without thinking, but I'm starting to not care as much. I have a very casual vocabulary with my family. What are you guys doing? What's up? You know, so, and you know, that's another thing, very, very Midwestern, but, you know, there, see, I did it again, you know. So today's video is going to be a drugstore video, and I was inspired to do this video because of a couple of things. I went into Ulta to purchase my shampoo and conditioner, and I know that while I was away on vacation over the weekend, there was a National Lipstick Day that happened. So I noticed that they had all their lipsticks in the front of the store, and they were like buy one, get one. And so I did, I took advantage of that. I got a couple lipsticks. And then when I was perusing the aisles, I noticed that Revlon has a new foundation, which is a really good thing because they filed bankruptcy, but I think it was the one where you just reorganize. I hope that's the one, because I think Revlon's a really good brand and their quality is really great as well. And so they created a new foundation called Illuminance. And I picked it up, and I didn't pick it up at Ulta because, excuse me, I have a frog in my throat. I didn't pick it up at Ulta because it's illuminating and hydrating, and it has squalane in it. I hope I said that correctly. Squalane, it's like derived from olives, and it's got antioxidants, and it's incredibly hydrating, and it has hyaluronic acid. And I typically avoid really hydrating products because I do have combination oily skin. When I was younger, I really struggled with oily skin, and now that I'm older, it's better. So I still am a little bit afraid sometimes, but I thought, what the heck? And I didn't think what the heck when I was at Ulta. I had to go pick up a prescription at Walgreens. So I went to Walgreens, I noticed that they had it on sale. So I think it's normally about $14, and it was on sale for like $7.99. So I picked it up, and my color is 910. It's the second to lightest shade. And I thought I'd give it a try in a first impression for all of you. And so then I decided to pull out as many Revlon products that I could. I did pick up a brow product from Revlon, and I picked up an eyeshadow palette that has always intrigued me, but I've never picked it up. It's not new. And then I threw in some other brands from the drugstore for the products that I don't have Revlon. Actually, I do have Revlon blushes, but I wanted to try one from a different range. And so anyways, it's all drugstore. It's all very affordable makeup. And I would recommend picking this up at Walgreens, or just look online where it's the cheapest, because I could have spent $14.99 at Ulta, but instead I picked it up at Walgreens and got it for nearly, yeah, like about half price. Although I didn't get the points that I would have gotten at Ulta, but I don't care. I get points at Walgreens too. And then I picked up a concealer that I used before and really liked, but one of my daughters took it. So I picked it up again to have it in my stash. So let's just jump in, and I'll chat a little bit and get ready with you. And I hope you enjoy this video. So I have the new foundation here from Revlon, and I didn't pay attention to this at first because it is an illuminating foundation. It's called Illuminance, and it's supposed to be a glowy foundation, a very hydrating foundation. And if you watch me, you know I typically go for soft mattes because I have combination oily skin, but I really wanted to try this one. It does have 5% squalene in it, which is an emollient, and it's an antioxidant, and it's in a lot of our skincare. Really good for your skin. I think it's derived from olives, and it also has hyaluronic acid in it, which is another very hydrating ingredient. And I thought this would be a really good foundation to have going into the fall and winter. I hate to even say that because we are still in July. It's going so fast. I can't believe it's already Wednesday today, but that's besides the point. This is going to be a good foundation, I think, for mature skin. That's my hope. And the reviews that I've seen are really good. If you go to the Ulta website and look at the reviews on this, usually there's mixed reviews. I hate it. I love it, you know, but these are all really good. So I really wanted to try it. I got mine in the shade 109, and that was like, I think, the second to the lightest shade. And it has a plastic lid, just your cheapy plastic lid, but it does have a nice glass container and a pump, which I love. Ooh, it's a little bit like serum-like. As you can see, it's a little bit runny. I may have pumped out too much. Whenever I use a foundation that has hyaluronic acid in it, I always prefer to put them on with a damp beauty sponge. And I do that because hyaluronic acid can draw moisture to it. And in my mind, I think that that's a good thing as opposed to using a dry brush. So if it doesn't go on well with this damp sponge, then I'll try it with a brush. But usually I have good luck with the damp beauty sponge with products that have hyaluronic acid. And I'm just gonna kind of pounce it around. It might be a little bit light. I think there's like, I don't know how many shades, to be honest with you, but there were a lot. And there were a lot of dark shades and there were a lot of light shades. And I wasn't sure which one would be best for me because in the drugstore, you can't sample them. You just hold them up to your skin. And this was a little bit on the light side. And the next one was a little bit like on the slightly deeper side, which would work for me now while I'm self-tanning. But since it's such a hydrating foundation, I thought that I would use this most of the time when there isn't a lot of humidity in the air and a lot of heat. But if I love it, who knows, I'll use it a lot. So anyways, this is how I do it. And what is going on here? It's so lightweight. It's so light. It feels so light going on, and it's spreading out so nicely. I didn't expect that. I expected it to be, I don't know, I didn't expect it to be sort of serum-like, but I guess that makes sense because it does have skincare in it. So, and you can see where I had it on my hand. It's really glowy, and on my face, it's really glowy. Like a glow, especially now that I am in my 50s. I really like that luminous skin. I used so much sunblock over the weekend. We're outdoors a lot in the sun, hiking and kayaking. And it got to a point where I was just spraying the sport sunblock in my hand and going like this. So I have like a blemish. You can't see it, but I can feel it. It's like one of those that's underneath your skin, kind of like a cyst. I'm doing everything I can to not touch it, but it's tender. I hate those. When I was a teenager, I used to get those. And that's why I started Retin-A really young, because I used to get that kind of, I never had like cystic acne where it was all over here, but my pimples on my chin and on my forehead, I would get the kind that are like underground, and I would pick at them. I can't believe I don't have scars on my face. I do have one on my nose, right there. I've considered, not seriously, but I've considered getting my nose pierced, like just a little, but I don't think that would be the spot that they would pierce it. But I thought, oh, if they could, I could just put like a little stone in there and that would be pretty. But you know what? I don't even think about that anymore. I just thought about it because I'm talking to you guys. It's just part of who I am, but it's a big, it's not like a pock, but it's red and it never goes away. Okay, the True Match concealer from L'Oreal. This is like my favorite drugstore concealer. Now, my daughter took mine, so I haven't used it in a while, so I repurchased it because I remember I really liked it. And this also has skincare in it. I don't know what, but this is really good, and it's very hydrating, just like it claims to be. It's super duper watery and creamy. And I'm gonna use this all over as like my eyelid primer. My eyelashes are gonna look white because I'm just rubbing it right in. And this doesn't irritate my eyes, I already know that. I mean, I do kind of have sensitive eyes, but it's made for your eyes and it doesn't irritate mine. What does irritate my eyes is when the sunblock that I put all over my face that makes me break out runs into my eyes. Oh my goodness, my eyes were so irritated because I thought it was more important to protect my skin from the sun than worry about anything else. So any sunblock handy, I would just like rub all over my face and then I'd put on my big glasses. So I think that I made the right decision in the long run. Okay, my face is really glowy, and I would say it's a light coverage with the amount I put on, light to medium. If it's a medium coverage, it's like on the lighter side, and it didn't cover my freckles at all, but what it did do is make my skin look really glowy and more even in tone. So I don't know, I think that it's probably slightly more coverage than a tinted moisturizer, but nowhere near a full coverage. And I really like how glowy it looks. And it feels slightly, very slightly tacky on my skin. Whereas a lot of the foundations I select, being soft matte, they sort of just soak in and kind of feel powdery on your skin. This definitely doesn't feel powdery on my skin, but it doesn't feel sticky either. I just feel, you know, it feels different than what I typically choose. So it doesn't bother me, but I think that as it kind of soaks in to my skin, it'll just sort of like dry down, especially as I put on powder products on top of it. Okay, I picked up a waterproof eyebrow product. This is the Color Stay Revlon brow product in the shade Auburn. So yay for Revlon. Most brands, they're starting to carry red tones in Auburn shades, but a lot of times brands carry like a blonde, a brown, maybe an ashy brown, and then a more like darker brown, and then black. You know, they don't really think of us redheads or women with a lot of gold tones in their hair, is what I've found, and I can't do anything ashy on my brows. I've heard women with more ashy hair or dark hair say they can't use anything with golden tones. So it's like a dilemma one way or the other. They just need to have an extra shade for golden toned ladies and blonde Auburn ladies, and a lot of brands are doing that now. So yay for Revlon. And it's one of these that you kind of just crank it up a little bit, and it's got a spoolie on the other end. It feels like a good product. It feels like Anastasia Beverly Hills brow pencil. So I am just going to do a little bit of filling in and extending the tail. As we get older, we need to kind of think about sparse brows here because young people have like full brows. And a lot of times when we start to thin out or lose our brows, it's back here. So I'm gonna extend that a little bit. So I need to kind of brace my arm. I'm just gonna start by sort of just filling in right here. And then I'm gonna sort of draw some hair-like strokes here. And then fill in a little bit on the inside. And then take my spoolie. Okay, and I'm gonna do the other side and I'll be right back. Okay, next up is another Revlon product, and this is the Prismatic Eyeshadow Palette in the shade 961. It's a dub, and most of these come in really bright shades, at the drugstore or at Ulta or wherever you see these. This is the most neutral of them. I very seldom do neutral eye looks. I usually play with a little bit of color, but not bright colors. I typically use pinks, rosies, coral shades, coppery shades or bronze shades. I don't usually pick like neutral palettes. So this is really different for me, even though it's probably what a lot of people normally select. So they are prismatic. They have some gleam to them. Let me swatch them for you so you can see how they look. Okay, these are the swatches. This is like the blush shade on my far left. I'm looking at you like I'm looking in a mirror, so this is my left. And then the bronzy shade beside it. Then this sort of charcoal shade that leans a little bit lavender, not so much blue, but definitely more on the charcoal end. And then you can't really even see the lightest shade except that it's very kind of highlighty because it matches my skin. So they definitely are neutral shades and they look really pretty. I did wash the makeup brushes that I brought with me on vacation. So I'm just gonna use those brushes most of them are from BK Beauty. And the first thing I'm gonna do is take the lightest shade, the one that matches my skin tone. As you could see, there was a little bit of dust there. And I'm putting that down over the eye serum concealer. And I really don't have anything to say about it because it does match my skin. It's a little bit glowy, so it still matches the glow I've got everywhere else. And it's just a good base to apply my other colors on top of them. If you have a darker skin tone than I do, which is probably 90% of you, I think this would look really pretty because I really like the way it looks when women have a kind of a white base and then build on top of that because it's so brightening. NYX used to make an eyelid primer that I loved and it came in a little pot and it was white. They discontinued it and I really liked it a lot. Okay, so now I'm gonna take this shade, the bronzy shade, and I'm gonna put this, I'm gonna put this in my crease with a crease brush. And it's so pretty. It's got like it's prismatic, like it claims, but it's not like foily. You know, some metallics or prismatic products can be a little too glowy and accentuate crepiness is what I'm thinking. And this is not doing that. Okay, didn't tap off the brush as much on this eye, and look at the pigmentation, really pigmented. That's really pretty. You know what this reminds me of? If you've ever tried the MAC Bronze collection from a couple of years ago, they had a shade called Monacoco, and I loved it. You can still get it on third-party sellers and eBay, but I'm not gonna go there. I loved that shade as a one eyeshadow look, and this reminds me a lot of that shade, and I miss that shade, so that's a good thing. Now I can use this. I think it used to be part of MAC's permanent collection, and then they changed the name of it for the promotion, but now you can't get it anymore, period. Okay, I'm gonna blend that better after I apply a few more shades. So now I'm gonna take the blush shade, which is weird that it looks so blush because it looks more taupey white here, but on my skin it looks a little more blush, like slightly pinkish. And let's do the inside of my eye in the corner here. And this does show up on me, which is nice because I don't like when I have more than one shade in a palette that just doesn't show up on my skin tone. I'm sure people with really dark skin tones have the same problem with some certain darker shades. Okay, I'm gonna take a blending brush and just sort of soften the edges here. Even though this has that glowy kind of prismatic look, It's definitely great for every day. And if you have a job to go to or church or someplace where you don't really wear crazy makeup, this would still work for you. I think the ones in the brighter shades may not, because they are so like shockingly bright, but this one's really good. Okay, now we're gonna take that darkest shade, the charcoal that leaned a little bit lavender, and let me get a good brush. I use this Sigma brush, and it's kind of flatter and not quite so fluffy. So I'm just gonna pick that up on the brush tip and pack that in the outer corner here. Ooh, that's so pretty. It's so pretty with the copper tone. So my son is waiting to get his roommate assignment for college. He'll be a freshman in college. He'll be leaving about this time next month. And we're waiting to get his roommate assignment. So it should be coming any day now. And it got me thinking about my college roommates. My son didn't know anyone, so he went just whoever they assigned to him. You know, you fill out the questionnaire and you try to find someone who's compatible. That questionnaire always makes me laugh though, because it has you fill out like a survey about how neat and messy you are and all that kind of stuff. And on the extreme ends of messiness and clutter, being cluttered in life and things like that, I can't imagine people being super honest about that, but you really do need to be. I hope that the person he gets assigned also was very honest, because I was there with him when he was filling it out. And my son is, this particular son is kind of messy. He's all over the place. He has ADHD, which he treats it, but he can get disorganized at times. And my younger son is like neat as a pin. Oh my gosh, he would go crazy living with someone. Then my boys have their own rooms, but he would go crazy living with somebody who is really sloppy. But this particular son leaving for college, you know, he had to be honest about that. He's really not dirty as much as he's cluttered and stuff like that. Like, he keeps things pretty clean, not up to my standards, but he definitely can clutter up a space. I used to be like that too. All right, taking this again, but on like a smudgy brush. Actually, no, I'm not. I'm gonna do something different. Okay, I'm just gonna take one of these slanted brushes and I'm gonna try to use the charcoal shade as like a little bit of eyeliner, and I'm just gonna pick it up. But I've been thinking about my college roommates, and my first year in college, I lived with a girl that, her name was Kelly, and we didn't know each other, and she was the best roommate. We had like our own friends and lives. She was an education major and I was a nursing major, but we got along really well for the most part. But that year we both made friends, and then we didn't stay roommates because we moved in with our friend. And I moved in with the girl who lived next door to me my freshman year, and she was also an education major, and we were best friends. And as everyone will say, don't move in with your best friend. And it wasn't that we didn't get along anymore, but like, we used to seek each other out to go to dinner, go run errands, things like that. But once we lived together, we didn't seek each other out so much. So our friendship really kind of faded. Plus, I got more into my nursing classes and she got more into like student teaching and education classes. So our lives just kind of went in different directions because we were meeting different people. But it was really sad. Like, we didn't fight or anything, but just watching our best friendship sort of fade. It was sad. We got together a few times to discuss it and kind of see if we could reignite. But life does that. It takes you different directions. So it was just never the same. And then I lived off campus with a nursing friend, and her name was Carrie. All of my roommates' names began with the letter K, and she was a really good roommate, and we got along great. We rode together to our nursing clinicals and everything, and we stayed friends She married her high school sweetheart and got pregnant right out of college, and she was 21, and I didn't get married and have kids till I was like 27, and I was working all the time. And anyway, that friendship, we still stay in touch on Facebook and things like that. But gosh, it's kind of interesting to think back to all the people that God brought into my life at certain times, and then they're gone. You know, I read a quote that you probably have all heard, that God brings people into your life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. And I always remind my daughters, especially, because they get very sensitive, especially now that they're 22 and 25, and they're seeing for the first time really good high school friendships sort of fade, or college friendships, like going through what I went through. And they're experiencing that. So I always just share my experiences, and I always tell them, God always was faithful to bring me someone else, to bring me a friend, and just pray about it. You know, I don't know if they do or they don't, but I pray about that for them. It's just interesting to think back on, and thinking about how immature I was at times too. Okay, let's get back to makeup. Okay, so I was gonna use a really brown eyeliner, but after looking at this eye look, it doesn't seem quite so browny neutral. I really love it though. Let me see what I've got here. Let's just go with good old faithful Physicians Formula 2-in-1 Booster Eyeliner. Holy grail, it's so good. And what I like about it is that it gives me a very fine line, which is what I like it for, because it hugs my lash line and it makes my lashes look thicker. And you don't have to do a wing with it if you don't want to. You could just stop right there, but I'm gonna go over the wing I created with the eyeshadow. And this will not budge. You could get caught in a thunderstorm and it will not budge until you wash it off. And it's got a serum and peptides in it that is supposed to make your lashes grow. I've used it for years and years, but I've never used it like, well, I did use it. Whenever I'm not using a lash serum, I use castor oil, which some people say doesn't work. I think it does. I think it really conditions your lashes and helps them grow. But Dr. Dre says it doesn't work, so she's the professional. I'm really picky with my mascaras because I do have an oilier skin type, and especially using an illuminating foundation, which, by the way, it has soaked in. It doesn't feel sticky or tacky or anything now. It just feels really hydrating and very, very lightweight. I'm just gonna go put on a couple of coats of Air Volume from L'Oreal. I used this for a long time until I found the Sky High mascara from Maybelline, which is my personal favorite. This is really, really good too, but when you first get it, it's a really wet formula, so you can easily make a mess with it. But other than that, I love everything else about it. So I'm gonna go put on 2 coats of this and I'll be right back. For bronzer, I don't have a bronzer that is new, but I did go with my Maru Butter Bronzer from Physicians Formula. This is so good. And I'm just gonna use my big old fluffy brush from Sephora that I love for powdered bronzers. And I'm just gonna hit like the high points where the sun would normally hit. If I'm wearing a shirt that has my clavicles showing, I always make sure I go down my neck and hit my clavicles and maybe my chest too. And I love this bronzer so much. It smells like a beach. It smells like coconuts and maybe coconuts and bananas. It smells so good. So this is a really good one. And I don't have a new blush. I do have a new blush, but it isn't new on the market. And it's from the True Match collection from L'Oreal. L'Oreal did release some beautiful blushes from the Infallible collection. They're really bright. I reviewed one of them on my channel not too long ago, and I love it. It's perfect for summer, even for winter, because it gives you that flushed look like you've been out in the cold, or that you've got like right before the sun burns your skin a little bit and you turn that nice pink that looks healthy. even though it's not healthy. It looks healthy. But I didn't want to pick up another one from that collection, even though I like it. But I think this color is new. At least it's new to me, because I've purchased the L'Oreal True Match blushes before. I think they were in a round compact, and now they're square. And this is the one I selected, and it's called Sweet Ginger. And look how pretty it looks. And this is how it looks. It's incredibly silky on the skin, very high quality. These blushes are as high quality or more so than a lot of high end, because they're so silky to the touch, and they blend in and they don't soak into your skin and go away. And I think they're just really pretty. And I'm just gonna use a Sonia Kashuk blush brush and pick up Sweet Ginger, and it's not dusty at all. Like, there's no dust at all. Watch, I'll be editing this video and I'll see like a plume in the air. Sometimes that happens. I don't think I see any dust, and the compact is perfectly clean. So I'm gonna be careful, because these are often very pigmented. I'm gonna disperse this between both cheeks. I thought ginger would be pretty going into the fall. Again, I hate to think about fall, but I'm done buying summer makeup. I'm just not excited about it anymore. I'm not excited for winter coming. I always get excited for the season changes, but I really like fall best for fashion and makeup. And you know, you could wear this in the summer too, obviously, but I wanted makeup that could transfer well into the next season. And I know this will be really good. A lot of people are just raving about this, and I can see why for my first impression. It's really nice with the bronzer. Really pretty color. I'm glad I picked it up. I don't have anything in this shade. I always go for pinky peaches, and this definitely leans more burnt orange gingery, and I think it's really pretty. Okay, being an older lady, I often don't powder as much anymore. In fact, I've mentioned to you guys that I'm working through my face powders. I'm finishing up my Charlotte Tilbury Flawless Finish powder, and it just will, it's like the powder that will never go away. I've got some still around the edges, and I'm determined to use every bit of it because it was expensive. But I'm kind of getting away from powders because I'm getting older and my skin is a little bit drier than it was, even though I still have combination oily skin. And I feel like my makeup just looks a little bit better without powder over it. But I am gonna do a light dusting of this Physicians Formula because it's very light, and I like this because it's got like a gradient of nude shades, and none of them are too dark for me. And I just like to get in my T-zone with that, because that's where I tend to get a little oily. And since I'm using an illuminating foundation, I just want to play it safe and have that extra little something. Okay, so for lipstick, I did pick up a new lipstick. I picked up a couple of them because at Ulta they had the buy one, get one 50% off for lipstick day, which is the promotion's still going on at Ulta. When you walk in, you'll see all the lipsticks there, and they're on promotion. But you could probably find them just as inexpensive or more so at Walgreens, because they always have good buy one get one deals going on. And a lot of Revlon goes on clearance at Walgreens, which isn't a great sign. But even the new foundation, like I said, I paid $8 for it and it's new. So anyways, I'm just gonna line my lips with a lip cheat from Charlotte Tilbury. I don't have another one. I have MAC and I have Charlotte Tilbury, and those are the ones I use, but I often don't use lip liner since I got my lip filler. I feel like I don't really need to emphasize my lips, but I do like the contrast of the darker liner and the lighter lipstick, so that's why I'm going to use it. Pillow Talk Lip Cheat. So the two lipsticks that I selected for lipstick day is Rose and Shine. Look how pretty that is. And this is from Revlon, and it's number 619. And then the other one I picked up is called Flushed, and it looks like that, and it's just a lot pinker. This one's definitely more rosy mauve. And flushed is number, I think it says 762. I'll link it, but I have flushed and rose and shine. I think I'm gonna go with rose and shine because it's more subdued and I think it'll tie this whole look together. So I'm gonna apply rose and shine. These are so cushiony and hydrating. And like I said, there's no fragrance. You all know that I love L'Oreal lipsticks, but they are pretty strongly perfumed. I don't mind scents if they're good scents in my products, but I know most of you prefer unscented, and this is unscented, and it's very creamy, really comfortable. I like it as much as I like the L'Oreal formula, so that's really pretty. So this is the final look. All drugstore, all affordable, and pretty heavily Revlon. We need to give Revlon some love because they're struggling. That's real, they're out there struggling. So I'm really happy that they released a new product and it causes a little bit of excitement and hype around the brand because it really is a very good brand and the products they make are very high quality and I hope they stick around. I've always loved Revlon. So I'm really pleased with this look. I'm pleased with the glowy foundation. I didn't think I was gonna like it. I thought that I was gonna review it for you guys because I always select soft matte mainly for myself and I ignore Illuminance products, but I think this is really pretty and glowy and it feels so good on the skin. It feels very lightweight. It's not sticky or tacky and it's very hydrating. I'll leave in the description box below how it performed all day. I'll get up really close to my magnifying mirror at the end of the day and take a really good look and see like how it managed throughout the day. It's like 9 in the morning now, so I'll probably wash it off between 9 and 10 tonight, so it'll be a good 12 hours. So you could check down there. And I'll also weigh in on the eyeshadow. So I didn't use a primer. I used my True Match concealer eye cream. So I hope that it won't crease or anything like that because I do tend to get oily eyelids. So I can also notate that down in the description box in case you're wondering, but it's a simple fix if it does. I could just pick up some primer and put that on my eyelids next time if it does. So anyways, thank you so much for spending some time with me. I hope that you have a blessed and beautiful day and I'll see you next time.